In this part 2 of the video, we are going to talk about managing files and folders. We are going to continue to talk about this topic. In this context, a library is a special folder that that lists specific files and folders in a central location. Actually, it doesn't care where the files or folders are located specifically. So, for example, you can see here, I can open a folder, and then I can go to a given library folder. So I can open a library folder, and within the library folder I can link multiple libraries, files, codes, whatever, executables. And then typically you can see, like, for example, let's try to link something here. So in the library folder I can link some important files. Let's say I have an executable file here. Now I go to the library folder here, and then I can copy paste a shortcut. So it means that this folder is not originally saved in this location, but we maintain this library folder to keep all the executables, all the libraries, so that this becomes a one-stop shop. Within the file manager, you can move, copy, and delete folders. Moving or copying a folder affects all the contents of the folder. Deleting a folder moves it to the recycle bin or trash folder. You know about it, right? When you deal with Windows operating systems, you will see a recycle bin on the top of your screen. You can use a file manager to reorder, move, or navigate between the folders. The Windows file manager is called File Explorer. So a typical file explorer looks like this. This is a file explorer. This window is the file explorer. And then you can manage your files using the file explorer. Basically, you can navigate to one folder to another folder. You can access a file, you can open a file by double clicking on a given file, or you can remove a file, delete a file, basically uh, using this file explorer application. For the Mac OS, the Mac the MacBooks, the file manager is called Finder. In order to navigate to a folder, you need to locate it using a search tool, or by opening the main folder and then opening subfolders until you get to the folder in which your files of interest lives. Now we are going to start discussing about using operating system management utilities. Operating systems provide users with a variety of utilities related to managing their computer and devices and their programs. An operating system controls your computer by managing the resources of the computer. It tracks the names and location of the file. The operating system tracks the names and locations of the files as well as empty storage areas where you can save new files. In order to manage RAM's resources, an operating system keeps track of the applications, processes, and other tasks the system performs. You can open your computer or device's version of the task manager to view running programs and see the percentage of RAM being used. You can shut down programs and applications in the task manager to free up the RAM. This table summarizes operating system tools. As an example, if you want to explore the file management tool, it does multiple functions related to displaying the files, organizing the files in folders, and copying, renaming, deleting, moving, and sorting the files. If you want to look at the search tool, it attempts to locate the files based on specific criteria. An example, you can see a search tool here. So you can put some keyword and it will find if there is any match. So it will try to locate the file systems. Sometimes we can put a search keyword here on the top level under the C drive. So it will look into different folders and subfolders to find a match. Similarly, you have other tools as well. This continues here. You can see the power management tool. It monitors battery usage, so and so on. Operating systems provide shutdown options so that you can exit programs and terminate processes properly. Some operating systems have a sleep option to use low power instead of shutting it down altogether. Sleep stores the current state of the open programs and files, saving your time when you resume working using your device. A common solution for Windows desktop system is to run a disk cleanup utility. That's an important utility which finds and removes unnecessary files such as temporary internet files or files you have marked for deletion. Monitoring performance operating system typically include performance monitor. Here is a snippet of the performance monitor. Let me quickly find it out. So it goes from it is available from the task manager, and from the task manager you can go to performance, and then you can see the performance monitor of different areas like different things on the Windows. This is Windows operating system, so you can see CPU performance, memory performance. You can see it kind of jumped a little bit here, disk performance, and other performances. If a computer is running extremely slowly, the performance monitor can be useful to detect the reason behind the slowness. The operating system allows you to make adjustments such as connecting to a network, controlling the sounds, allowing or preventing application notifications. All these things are done through the settings tab. This is the settings window. You can go to the home and you can see multiple areas under the settings. So you can there is a search tool provided here. Suppose you want to tune your microphones, so you can just search for microphone setup from here, and then you can go to the microphone setup, and then you can test and find whatever the problem is. Then you can navigate back to the settings. Suppose you want to you have some problem with some programs, some applications, let's say Microsoft Office. Let's type Office, doesn't work. If we type Word, that doesn't work as well. So let's say we want to find out something else. File Explorer. You can see multiple settings related to File Explorer. Whatever these settings offer, I mean, in order to find anything here, there must be something specific for it under the Windows settings. Microsoft Office, I mean, they can use a different settings. They may not be a part of the Windows settings at all, and that is completely reasonable because it's a software that you install that does not come that that is not shipped along with the Windows. So if you go and find out printers, so you can see there is a settings that exist for printers and scanners. So in this way, you can find settings for specific systems, specific applications or utilities that are part of the operating system when they are shipped. You can also use these utilities to uninstall applications, add accounts, and adjust privacy settings. The desktop contains icons for programs and files. In this picture, you can see a typical settings for Mac OS. So a MacBook desktop looks like this. It can have multiple things like you can see the menu bar here. Uh, there is a digital assistant, the open folders and trash. These are here. Trash is kind of utility, sorry, recycle bin. The programs and utilities are all listed here. You can find a similar picture for Windows desktop as well. In any operating system, a window is a rectangular shaped work area. So this is called a window. I mean, you see the snippet that we take, this one, this is the window. So window is a rectangular shaped work area that displays an application or collection of files, folders, and utilities. You can use two types of windows on a computer desktop, a program window or a folder window. The program window displays a running program. For example, in a Linux operating system, you can have a terminal. The typical name of a program window may be terminal, where you can enter the commands and run the programs, and you can see the programs are running, and you can see the consoles. I mean, the whatever output program is producing on the console. A folder window displays the content of a folder, drive, or device. File Explorer, for example, is a folder window. There are common elements to most windows are here. The center area of the window, I mean, this is the conventional way. The center area of the window displays its contents. The title bar at the top displays the name of the application, file, or the folder shown in the window. On a computer, buttons enable you to maximize, minimize, and resize the window. Some windows include a ribbon. So, for example, Microsoft Word window that includes a ribbon, toolbar, or menu bar that contains text, icons, or image that you select to perform certain actions. Microsoft Word, if you open it, you will find multiple ribbons. Under each menu, in the top, you have multiple ribbons, and under the ribbons, you have multiple tasks. Windows can also include vertical and horizontal scroll bars. You can see in the Microsoft Word, for example, there are there is a vertical scroll bar, and if you expand this font, the size, then at some point you can see the horizontal scroll bar as well. When you have multiple windows, files, and apps open at a time, the windows can appear side by side. So there is an N here. The windows can appear side by side or stacked. So it depends on how you want to display them. There are multiple display options. Let's do a quick knowledge check. Which option is used to save power? Battery replacement, shutdown, low power mode, or charger? My take is if you want to save the power, then you should shut down the computer, right? That saves the power absolutely. So that's the answer. You need to save the, you need to shut down in order to save the power. Now comes the security. Security is very important in all topics that we discuss. Usually the system administrators or the computer owners, they have a admin account. Sometimes they call it systems account that enables them to access all the files and programs irrespective of users. They can install programs, specify settings that affect all users on a computer, mobile device, or network. Security software such as antivirus, for example, they must run constantly, all the times, to protect against new viruses. Question, is it a foreground process or background process, the antivirus? Sometimes it can be a background process. And foreground process comes into action whenever we try to do something with the antivirus. Let's say we want to quarantine, we want to inspect the quarantine files, or we want to clean up the quarantine files if the antivirus is set up in that way. Security experts recommend using a firewall. That's an important concept. So, what is a firewall after all? You know, the data flows into and out of the devices through different ports. A firewall is what controls what is, and more importantly, what isn't allowed to pass through these ports. You can think of it as a gatekeeper, security guard, standing at the door, checking the ID of everything that tries to enter or exit. For most normal computers or home networks, a firewall should allow very little, if not if nothing, if not nothing, inbound traffic. There is rarely any reasonable cause for which other devices need to connect to your device or home network unsolicited, unless you ask them to. Firewalls can be either software or hardware, and most likely you are being protected by the both. The router, sometimes called a modem, that brings the internet from your internet provider to your home or office is usually a hardware firewall. And your computer, whether it's running Windows or Mac or Linux, most likely has a software firewall running within it as a background process, maybe. Next feature is automatic updating. That's an important feature. It it ensures that essential software updates, security patches, etc. are automatically added to your computer as soon as your operating system vendor releases it and distributes it. On your Windows machine, for example, you can configure to receive the automatic updates. There are spyware and malware detection software. You know, the spyware and malware threats are increasing every day. So there are software. Sometimes they are shipped along with your antivirus package. Sometimes you want to install a separate spyware and malware detection software. These are crucial to repel the attacks on the computer or device. The operating system is generally scheduled to scan and update when the computer is idle, such as the middle of the night. Permissions define who can access certain resources and when they can access those resources. User accounts protect your computer against any unauthorized access. A user account includes information such as an username or ID and a password. Typically, a password. You can use a PIN as well. A standard user account is designated for everyday user who will be using a computer or device for any purpose, maybe work, maybe for um, watching videos, maybe for browsing internet, anything. If you want to provide someone temporary access to your computer, typically you can create a secure guest account. You can set up a default password there and ask the guest to use that password to get into the device. A user account enables the user to log into their or access resources on a network or a computer. Each user account typically is protected using a username and password or maybe the PIN. But other methods such as facial recognition, the face ID recognition, fingerprints, or a physical security key can be required to enhance the security. You can sometimes, people use multi-factor authentication schemes. If a user information matches their security settings, the operating system grants user access. The operating system on a network records successful and unsuccessful sign-in attempts. This is very important. Note this. It also records unsuccessful signing attempts so that it can audit. Your system admin or you as a computer owner may want to audit regularly who wants to access your system. Now comes a brand new topic, that is a virtual machine. These days, virtual machines play a crucial role, especially if you want to do some cloud computing or if you want to do some remote work. Not just at a workplace, you may do some remote computing work, digital work at your school. Sometimes you are offered to access virtual machines. A virtual machine is a software that enables a computer or device to run another operating system in addition to what is on what is the one installed. For example, you can have a Windows operating system, but then you can install a virtual machine. A very popular virtual machine is Oracle VM VirtualBox. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, you can see it here, the Oracle VM VirtualBox. This is also a virtualization product. So you can download this product on your desktop, on your device, and then you can enjoy using different operating system on it. Typically, a Oracle VM VirtualBox looks like this. You can see that my system is Windows operating system, but I've used some other systems as well. So you can see here I'm using a Linux operating system under this VirtualBox. So my system is Unix system, sorry, it's a Windows system, but I am using the VirtualBox to install a Linux operating system to try something with Linux. In order to run a virtual machine, therefore, you need a program. Like I showed you, I am using the VirtualBox. The virtual machine runs separately on a section of the hard disk called a partition. A partition, also named as volume, is a section of a hard drive that functions like a separate drive. You can only access one partition of a hard drive at a time. You can use the following steps to describe how to set up a virtual machine. You can obtain and install an application that creates and runs virtual machines. You can run the application and select the option to create a new virtual machine. You can specify the settings for the new virtual machine. If needed, you can insert the installation media. This is not common uh, for the operating system you want to run in the virtual machine. Then you can run the virtual machine. When the operating system has finished installing, you can remove the installation media. While the virtual machine is running, if desired, you can install any apps. Like if you have a Linux operating system installed on your virtual machine, you can install Chrome, Google Chrome, or Firefox on the top of the Linux operating system. You can install LibreOffice, which is a free substitution for Microsoft Office. Not that they are one to one, like their features are one to one. Whatever is available on Microsoft Office, everything is available on LibreOffice and vice versa. They have different scopes, um, different way. They work in a different way, but in as an output, you can create a basic basic document out of each of those. When you are finished using the virtual machine, finally, you can simply shut down the machine, shut down the operating system. In the same manner, you would shut down your computer, then you exit the virtual machine software. After you set up the virtual machine, you can use the virtual machine at any time by performing the following steps. Number one is running the virtual machine software. Number two, select the virtual machine you want to run. Number three, clicking the button to run the virtual machine. And number four, when you are finished using virtual machine, shut down the operating system in a similar way to how you would shut down your computer and then exit the virtual machine software. The virtualization relies on an architecture, computer architecture, or a software architecture like this. In any box, any machine, this is your device, right? You have an operating system. This is called host operating system. Now, the virtualization relies on creating a new software where that allows you to install multiple guest operating systems. And these guest operating systems run on partitions on the main disk drive. Each of them may not see each other, like whatever is on your virtual machine may not be accessed from your host operating system, like your Windows machine, for example, and vice versa. It may be so, it may be accessible, it may not be accessible, depending on what you are using, right? So this is the way you can install multiple virtualized device virtualization. You can accomplish virtualization on the top of an operating system. Case study. Let's talk about it. This is the subject of the case study. Read it carefully. Sarah Jonas is the business manager of Alpha Incorporated, where most of the business transactions take place online. Sarah generally shares confidential documents through email. She uses online payment systems as well. Sarah is worried about security of her confidential documents and business information and wants to protect them against viruses, malware, and other security attacks. Now the question, how can Sarah Jonas protect her business data? Options are set a password to protect the folder containing confidential information, not to use internet to avoid virus attacks, use a firewall, configuring it to turn on or off automatically, and also use antivirus software, use a disk cleanup utility. What do you think Sarah is going to use? Based on what we studied so far, I would recommend Sarah to use a firewall, right? A firewall will protect your your machine's data, and it can prevent any external or inbound communications, not the communication, any inbound access to your system unless you authorize them to do that. So it's the best bet for Sarah to protect information. Yeah, that's the answer. So for the self-assessment, you can work on what are some examples in which you have used a server operating system. Have you used it? If not, can you come up with some examples where you can potentially use it? Remember, each operating system can be desktop version, I mean a desktop operating system or a server system. So whenever you have something going on like web hosting, application hosting, you are running some application regularly. So there you find utilities for a server operating systems. What impact do operating system management utilities have in your life? And are there any concept from this module that you still have questions about? What topics do you want to learn more about? So these are the open questions, and we can discuss. I mean, once this is done, then you will find the discussion topics and ask your questions on whatever we have learned here, or you can post a comment here, right here on the video. Okay, that's all for today. So we have completed part one and part two of our operating system discussion as a part of our CIS 101, that is the computers, introduction to the computers and its uses course. Thank you so much for attending it. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.